See, so we started a software testing life cycle. So what are the contents present in the software testing life cycle? So test policy, test methodology, test plan, test case. First, these are the first contents which are used for designing the application and as well as testing the application. So using this software testing lifecycle, there are different categories. Some people work on management, some people work on testing. So first policy is test policies or how quality we are expecting, how much time it will take to complete the process, in which technology we are going to use. Okay. Now is okay. So the test policy is mainly explains about how much quality we are expecting, how much time it will take to complete the process, what standards the company needs to follow. The test methodology will explain about the testing process of your company. What standard the company follows for preparing the documentation for testing process. The test plan will be done by the test lead. Will be done by the test lead, right? So చెప్పండి. చెప్పేసారు బాగా వస్తున్నారు ఆయనకు వస్తుంది సార్. Sir, can you hear me? Is it audible? వినపడుతుంది కదా? Okay. So the software testing life cycle is classified into 6 categories. The first part is called as test policy. We'll call it as a test policy. The second one is called as test strategy. First, we'll see of these two things. The test policy will mainly explains about how much quality we are expecting, how much work has been completed and yet to be complete, and it will explain about what process we need to follow for your company standards. Quality, work and process. These three things will be done by the QAE. We'll call it as Quality Assurance Engineer. The test strategy mainly explains about the budget control. We'll explain about the budget control. We are not working on this part. Actually, your responsibility is to how we are going to write the test cases, how we are going to execute the test cases, and how we are going to generate the reports. That is the role of a tester. We are not involving all these things. So this is only done by the QAE, and this strategy will be done by the quality control people. So next, the third part is most important thing is test methodology. We'll call it as a test methodology. So when you once you get the requirement, what are the things we need to work on that? The test methodology mainly explains about first, once you get the requirement, Based on the requirement, we are going to analyze. We are going to analyze the documents. Based on that, they are going to design the application. They are going to design the application. Once being that designing the application is done, but they are not writing any coding. Just you mention the UI. They'll design the UI. Now, based upon the designing, they are going to write some coding part. Who is going to do? The developers are going to write the coding. Now, once you get the coding, this will goes to the testing part. So who is going to involve? Testers or test engineers. Testers or test engineers. Based upon once the build is being released, the testers or test engineers, what they are going to do is, they are going to check the expected values to the actual values. Expected values to actual values. If the expected value is not equal to actual value, we are going to generate the reports. We are going to generate the reports. And these reports will be sent to the developer. Will be sent to the developer. What the developer will do, based upon, he will identify whether it is a defect or whether it's really working or not. Mean, he will find out the critical issues, whether he is facing or not. If he finds any defect, based on that, the developer is going to resolve it. They is going to resolve it. What do you mean by resolve? They are going to change the internal coding. They are going to change the internal coding, and automatically once they update it, they are going to send to the tester. Now, what the tester will do? Based upon that, the tester is going to check whether it's really the defect is been resolved or not. So that means that they are going to do the retesting. Now you may ask me in interview, what is the difference between a regression testing and retesting? Regression testing is, once the build is being developed, if you find any issues, the developer needs to resolve it, again send to the tester. The tester needs to retest it and the entire build along with the modifications. Whatever the issues we are going to get, we are going to check that issues and entire application we are going to do. That is called regression. Retesting is nothing but whatever issues we are going to get, we are going to recheck only the issue part. That is called retesting. So regression is entire build along with the modifications. Retesting is only whatever issues we are going to get, we are going to recheck it. That is called retesting. So if they ask you, can you explain the structure of test methodology? Means you need to say that based upon the requirement, we are going to analyze it, they're going to design them, and they're going to develop. Once we get the build from the developer, we are going to test the application. If the expected value is not equal to actual value, we are going to generate the reports and sends to the developer. Developer needs to identify whether it is really a defect or not. Now, based on that, they are going to resolve it and automatically send to the tester. What the tester will do, tester is going to retest it. Mean that whatever issues is being resolved by the developer, we are going to recheck it. We are going to recheck the issue part. That is called retest. Finally, they are going to do the test closure. We are going to do the test closure. This is the entire structure. Each and every company will follow it. Analysis, designing, coding, testing. In the testing, if you find any issues, sending to the developer, developer is going to resolve it and send to the test. Based upon the issues resolved by the developer, the tester is going to retest it. If you have, someone will ask you, sir, if you don't have any issues, do we need to close it? So that's with the tester need not to close it. That is done by the developer itself. So if he finds still, if it is not resolved, it is under the test developer case only. So if the developer finds that if it is a minor issue, they can close it. If it is a major issues, the responsibility of the developer is to resolve it and again send to the tester itself. So finally, the test closure will be done by the project manager or team lead. By the project manager or team lead. So this is the structure of software testing methodology. So analysis, designing, coding, test. In testing, if the expected value is not equal to actual value, we are going to generate the reports. You need to say that I'm a tester. I'm going to generate the reports and send to the developer. What the developer will do, developer is going to find whether it is a defect or not. If it is a defect, they are going to resolve it. Once it has been resolved, it will again send to the tester. So tester is going to retest it. Finally, is going for test closure. So this is the overall structure of your test methodology. Now separately, we are going to learn what do you mean by test plan, how we are going to write, how we are going to prepare your test cases, how we are going to execute your test cases, and how we are going to generate your test reports. So those are the most important things in manual. Up to this is a manual category, management category level. We are not involving in all these things. Just we need to know these things, what happened before coming to the testing. Before coming to the test. Now, the most important when you want to write test cases, first category is test plan. So this is the most important things which we have to learn them. First part. What do you mean by test plan? What are the types of the test plan we are having? What methodology do we use to prepare the test plan? Who is going to prepare the test plan? To prepare test plan, they use a terminology called as IEEE format. Will called as IEEE format. Institute of Electric and Electronic Engineering 829 format. Where some companies will follow this methodology and some companies they used to work with ISO, International Standard Organizations. So they can use any one of the format. So you can prepare test plan, you can write the test cases, you can execute the test cases, you can generate the reports. Everything we can do by using IEEE 829 format. This is the standard where some companies used to follow. Now, what do you mean by test plan? For example, I already told you in the first session, what is the difference between domain and a project? Domain is a banking, telecom, insurance, finance. All these will come under domain. When you come to the project, if your domain is banking, we have multiple projects. ICSA, SDFC. Next, we are having SBI. So all these are all banking sectors. This domain is a banking and the project is what depends upon their company standards. They used to follow their quality. The test plan mainly explains about what to test, how to test, when to test, and who to test. What we are going to test, how we are going to test, when it's going to be tested, and who is going to test. This is everything will be decided by the team lead. We are not involving. That is a team lead is going to decide it. How many testers are required? In which environment we need to test? What are the things we need to test? What software the developer is using? What operating system we required it? Everything will be decided by the team lead, which is a part of test plan. Which is a part of test plan. The main criteria for designing this test plan is type, scope, and the third one is risk factors. What type of project we are going to do? What is the importance of the project? What are the risks involved in the project? So this is comes under test plan. So what type of project? It may be banking, it may be telecom, it may be an insurance, it may be finance. There are many different criteria. There are many domains where we need to work it on that. What type of domain we are going to work? What is the importance of the project? And what are the risks involved in the project? So all these things will come under test plan. Before preparing the test plan, the team lead is going to prepare first one. Availability of testers. Availability of testers mean how many testers are available. How many testers are available. Second one, he is going to check test environments. Test environment, whatever the software and hardware do we require to test application. In which environment we need to work. Third one, what is the cost of the project? What is the duration of the project? So these are the things. First, the team lead is going to prepare in the test plan. So how many testers are available? In which environment we need to work? What is the cost of the project? And what is the duration of the project? All these things will come under test plan. Once they prepare this documentation, now the team lead is going to prepare risk factors. First part is completed, then they're going to prepare some risk factors. As we already studied in the spiral model, lack of time, lack of test data, lack of communication, lack of resources, lack of knowledge. So these are all the risk factors. So they are going to prepare some risk factors for the required application, which the testers need to work on that. So first they are going to prepare this documentation. Later on, they are going to prepare some risk factors. Okay. So what are the type of risk factors we are having? Like we are having lack of test data. Lack of test data means if you don't have any proper requirement, test data means if you don't have any proper requirement, what kind of criteria we need to work on that? What precautions do we need to take? Okay, so lack of test data. Second one is lack of resources. Lack of resources. Lack of resources, nothing but, for example, we need to work on Windows 7. The client has been issued that we need to work on Windows 7, but we don't have any software system to work on Windows 7. But our company is working Windows 8 and Windows 9 and Mac and Linux. So what we need to work on that? This is a risk factor. Lack of knowledge. Next, lack of test data, lack of resources. Next, lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge. If you don't have any proper knowledge on a particular domain, they already put up in domain banking sector. If you don't have any knowledge on banking, what precautions we need to work on that? What risk factor, how we can resolve this risk factors. So these are the lack of test data, lack of resources, lack of knowledge. Next, lack of time. Lack of time. If you don't have any sufficient time to deliver the product, then what we need to do? So what they will do, they will add some senior members and they're going to work on that and they're going to deliver module by module. Actually, we'll call it as a sprint. We'll call it as a sprint. What they'll do, whatever the importance they are going to get it release, they'll work mainly concentrate on that and they're going to release them immediately. That's called sprint actually. Important things, they'll work it on that and they will release. So that is sprint values. So actually, when you are using agile methodology, this sprint will come up. Scrum and the sprint, right? Now, lack of test data, lack of resources, lack of knowledge, lack of time. These are all called risk factors. So first, they're going to prepare the availability of testers. Next, resources, cost, time. Later on, they are going to find these risk factors. Once they find the risk factors, now they are going to prepare the test plan documentation. What are the contents present in the test plan? First, we need to know that. What are the contents? The most important thing is, for all the projects, the test plan is common. The test plan is common. Based upon the functionality, based upon your domain, the functionality will vary. For example, in banking, we work just now. Someone is working on finance. Okay. Next, someone is working on telecom. We'll domain for all the domains, the test plan is common. But depending upon your company's standards, the test cases will vary. మనం రాసే టెస్ట్ కేసెస్ అనేది డిఫరెంట్ క్రైటీరియా చేంజ్ అవుతుంటాయి. బట్ అన్నిటి ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ కి కలిపి ఒకే టెస్ట్ ప్లాన్ ఉంటుంది. దాని ప్రకారంగా వాళ్ళు ఏం చేస్తారంటే ఆ టీమ్ లీడ్ అనేవాళ్ళు వాళ్ళు ఒక డిపార్ట్మెంట్ డిఫరెంట్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్స్ బట్టి వాళ్ళు టెస్ట్ కేసెస్ రాసుకోవడానికి డిఫరెంట్ గా కన్వర్షన్ చేసుకుంటుంటారు. సో ద టెస్ట్ ప్లాన్ ఈస్ మ్యాండేటరీ, ఈస్ కామన్ ఫర్ ఆల్ ద ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ అండ్ ద టెస్ట్ కేస్ విల్ వేరీస్ డిపెండింగ్ అపాన్ ద ఫంక్షనాలిటీ. Now we'll see what are the contents present in the test plan. So the first one is test plan ID. Every project, for all the projects, the test plan ID is unique. For all the projects, the test plan ID is unique. Next, name of the test plan, that is test plan name of the test plan. Third one, futures to be tested. Futures to be tested mean that what are the futures the testers need to work on that. what are the features to be tested in? For example, you consider as a Yahoo login window, right? Yahoo page. So in the Yahoo page, there are different modules are there, like inbox, compose, chart, draft, new folder things. So what are the important main is login is the first important, second inbox is the second important, third one is we can go with the compose, and the remaining things, rest of the things we can do it later on. So what are the features the tester need to be concentrating on the application that comes under features? Next, the fourth one is features not to be tested. Features not to be tested. Not to be tested. Mean that what are the features doesn't require? I don't want to work on minimizing. I don't want to work on maximizing window. I don't want to work on clicking the link, something like, right? So those are the, what are the things why doesn't require it. So those are the things that team lead has to mention this. These are all depends upon the requirement only. He cannot decide by himself. This is everything based upon the requirement only. They are going to categorize and they're going to split up. They're going to integrate it to all the testers who are going to work on that department. Okay. So features not to be tested. Next, fifth one, test environment. In which environment you need to work? Whether you need to work on Windows 7 or Windows 8 or Mac or Unix. In which environment the testers need to work? So test plan ID, name of the test plan, what are the features to be tested, what are the features not to be tested, in which environment we need to work. Next, test setup, mean that which build we are going to get from the developer, whether it is a Java build, whether it's a .NET build, whether it's a Python, whether it's an embedded system, whether it's mainframes. So what build we are going to get from the developer and what the testers need to work on that. So that is test setup. We'll call it as a test setup. So test plan ID, name, features to be tested, features not to be tested, and test environment. We'll call test environment. The next one is test setup. We'll call it as a test setup. Okay. So you may ask me, sir, can all the companies will have the same standards to prepare test plan? There is no guarantee that all the companies will follow the same standards. Depending upon their requirement and depending upon their standard and depending upon the client, they can use their own standards, right? But the procedure will be the same. Plan ID, name, descriptions. We can have a description also, what we are going to do, in which application we are going to work, whether it's a window application or whether it's a web application. They need to mention all these things. So test plan ID, name, description, features to be tested, features not to be tested. Next, test environment and test setup. And this last one is test scheduling. How long it will take to complete the process? It is been decided by the team lead only. So how long it will take to complete by the developer to release the build, to develop the build and to release to the testers? How long it will take by the tester to test the functionality and to generate the reports, sending by the developer, sent to the developer, releasing out and testing out. So everything will be decided by the team lead. The last one is test. What is the last one? Test environment, test setup, and the last one is test scheduling. The last one would be test scheduling. That is the time allocated to both the developers and the testers is be done by the team lead itself. Will be done by the team lead. So these are all the contents to be prepared for generating the test cases by the testers. Based upon this criteria, the testers needs to prepare some scenarios. What we are going to work, in which environment we need to work, what functionality we need to test, how long it will take to test, what tools we are going to use. All these things we need to work on the functionality itself. Work on the functionality itself. Now, once we get the test plan documentation by the team lead, we are going to prepare your test scenario. So what do you mean by test scenario? For example, we are working on Amazon application, right? We don't know the procedure. We don't know whether all the elements is existing in the application or not. That is a new build. Kotta application manaki develop ayi vachinandi. Test developer nunchi. We don't know with nothing. We can identify what is present in the window. So what we need to prepare is, we need to prepare test scenario. Scenario is describing the overall structure of the application is called as test scenario. Mean that whatever things we require to test the application is called as scenario. For example, I want to test my Amazon page. If I want to test my Amazon page, I don't have any knowledge on what we need to identify. Whether elements are there or not, whether the login page is there or not, whether the next product details is present or not. I don't know whether this is a new build. I got a new build from the developer. What the testers will identify is, first they are going to prepare a scenario. Now, what do you mean by scenario? Describing the overall structure of the functionality is called as scenario. Is called as a scenario. So working on online shopping. Working on online shopping. So if you're working on online shopping, we may have login, customer details, product, next payment, delivery, next feedback, logout. These are all the models which we need to test it. All this describing from login to logout, this is called as test scenario. Test case is nothing but we need to take a particular model. What do you want to take? I want to work on login window. You need to concentrate on login window. If you are working on login window, that is test case. If you are describing the overall structure, that is called test scenario. So you are going to prepare the test scenario. So there is a structure for preparing the scenario. How we are going to prepare your scenarios? We can prepare the scenarios for login window, for window web applications. You can prepare for web window applications. You can prepare for desktop applications. You can prepare